Well, let's speak now to Rod McKenzie from the Road Haulage Association. Good evening, Rod.
Hello there.
Now then, you were probably listening, as the most rest of us were, to the Prime Minister and to Grant Shapps speaking earlier. They were addressing the sort of the backlog at the ports. I suppose, first of all, what was your reaction to what they had to say?
Well, they didn't have much to say, did they? Boris Johnson said he'd spoken to Emmanuel Macron, but we didn't really get any sense of what had happened, apart from the fact that it was, quotes, a very good call. And Grant Shapps said everything's working terribly well, our contingency planning. I think what we really wanted was news that the French are prepared to lift this ridiculous blockade of the short straits, the Dover-Calais short crossing, which brings us so many of the good things that we expect and want in our shops and our factories, and which is so important to our supply chain. And if the argument is, lorry drivers bring disease, well, actually, you can disprove that quite simply. The COVID outbreak that we've had up in this year has affected 2 to 3% of lorry drivers, one of the lowest occupancy rates of infection. And that is because lorry drivers sit alone in their cabs, they eat alone in their cabs, and typically they sleep alone in their cabs. So they're not exactly interacting with lots of people as an airline passenger might be on a jet with hundreds of people, or a train passenger, etc. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, I was going to say you make a very good point there, Rod, but I guess at the moment with this new strain, which I think some sort of scientists are saying is possibly maybe 70% more infectious, is it not that's making France perhaps a little warier, and perhaps, that's what brought the drawbridge up, as it were?
Well, if you're 70% more likely to catch something, but you're not actually interacting with people, you're not really 70% more likely to be a danger, are you? My point is that the lorry driver is quite a solitary existence. And if you were trying to stop this disease spreading, they would probably be one of the last groups of people that you would pick on, quite apart from the fact that they supply us with the things we need. You've got to wonder whether this has not got something to do with Brexit and an opportunity for the French, who made this decision, to flex their muscles and show what they can do to try and, as it were, bring the British negotiators' minds to greater focus on the Brexit talks, which are not going terribly well over fish.
Now, Brexit, the whole thing would be a logistical conundrum at the best of times, I guess. We don't know whether we will get a deal. We don't know what a deal, if it does come, looks like. Briefly, Rod, the haulage industry in general, how is it viewing the situation at the moment with us leaving the EU?
Well, deal or no deal, there is a mountain of paperwork that all traders and hauliers and those who do business with the continent will have to get their heads around. It's very onerous, and the difference between deal and no deal is quite small. It's just about tariffs and quotas, really. So there isn't, I think, a trader in the world in the UK who's looking forward to it, or a haulier who's looking forward to it. It's very challenging. It's very tough. We also don't know if the government's IT systems are fit for purpose and that they work, because we haven't had any evidence of that. We don't know if the border infrastructure is ready, and we don't think there are enough customs agents to process all this red tape. So the world of 2021 looks like a very challenging world for the brilliant logistics industry, which does so much to bring us the things we need, and does such a brilliant job. We don't really notice them, do we? The parcel just turns up, or the stuff is in the supermarket.
Very true. Well, Rod, unfortunately, time has beaten us. I know other stations want to speak to you, but thank you very much for joining us on the roundup of the day's news here on BBC Radio Cumbria. That was Rod McKenzie from the Road Haulage Association.